This, ladies and gentlemen, is the TARPTENT Arcdome in Ultra TNT, but now it's up. In this moderate breeze, it's pretty quiet. Nice to get out that wind. Properly cold out there. Whew, shelter. It's great to have a two-man tent in the winter, which you can spread out a little bit. And my last camp I was in the Scarp one, but this definitely feels a little bit more civilized, having all this space. Something I learned to do a while ago on these winter camps is to bring plastic bag, put your boots in, because there's a good chance that the porch is going to get filled with spindrift in the night. There is more snow forecast, and then the boots will not be full of snow and frozen in the morning. I'll leave them then there for now, but they can come in later. So this video isn't going to be about the technical specs on the Arcdome. It's just my first winter night impressions, but I'm going to come back and do another video about the specific dimensions of it all. But now it's just about having a cozy night and having fun. It's New Year's Day, so happy New Year to everybody. Hope you're not all too hungover. I managed to indulge a little bit too much last night in the delights of rusty nail. So if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much 50-50 Drambuie and whiskey. So it wouldn't be a Fellmandave video without some new gear to show you. So you've seen the Fern Ochran event jacket before. Fern have kindly sent me a few other things. So this underneath is a merino top with a really nice hood on it. And this jacket is the Octa jacket. This is really comfortable with one of those micro grid fleeces in that punches above its weight, with a DWR outer that's windproof, a really nice kind of cuff there, and a super little hood. So thanks Fionn for sending that. But oh, there's my hat. I really like it. And lastly, to go on the top, this is the down jacket, the Fionn Arctis 2 jacket. Really simple but highly functional jacket with a decent hood, nice snug neck on. I've been using this the last 2 weeks on cold commutes, standing on train platforms and stuff, and it's very cozy. And it's got the fleeciest, softest pockets in the world, which I really appreciate. Lovely silky inner on the Arcdome. Interesting, they've decided not to go for any vents in the doors or any adjustment in the doors. It's all through the roof. So if you can see my hand through there, you can access the outside vent through the top. You zip the door down, but that's also a vent with a stiffening prop, so the air will come right through and vent out the top of the tent and be blown out the other side. Pretty clever system, depending on how it works. Well, that's pretty much got that shut up now, but there's still a little bit of air getting through that part. Ooh, fish. Ooh. Ooh. Got the Nortent Ling sleeping bag again. I'll be glad of this tonight because I've got arms free. I can carry on and get warm in there. I feel like I need it tonight as well. So this brings me to the kind of theme of this video, this tent. Now there's been a lot of talk and buzz on YouTube about the rather excellent but perhaps specifically 3-season Durston X-Dome. Now the TARPTENT Arcdome, which I'm in now, is just a kind of like a 2-pole jobby, carbon fibre poles in this case, ultra TNT fabric. And the question is this a full 4-season tent? And the other question is, what is a full 4-season tent? Now that's going to mean lots of different things to lots of different people, but I would suggest that what 4-season means is that you want a shelter that's going to keep you safe in typical conditions where, if your shelter was to fail, you're going to be in big trouble. Now, that might not happen so much in summer, so if your shelter was to fail, you could kind of like get down the mountain or survive out because the temperatures and or conditions might not be too extreme. But if it was to fail in winter, then you could be in a lot of trouble. The worst of the UK is generally wind, rain, rarely snow. I would suggest a night like tonight, where it's going to get below freezing. Driving sleet is some of the worst conditions, really, particularly for hypothermia. That's their sweet spot. So you want something that you can be confident is going to stand up. Now, I took a little bit of a gamble bringing this tent up here tonight when I hadn't used it before, but I've seen a couple of good videos. Tom Heaney is one, and particularly Justin Outdoors from Canada, and he's had this tent in some really strong winds and it stood up well. So I think I'm not going to get anything above 40 tonight. That's the forecast, and I'm confident it'll stand up to that. And that brings me to the other part of this. So for a 4-season tent, what do you consider the upper reasonable wind limit to be that it should withstand? In my book, because I think it'll be pretty rare to get over this, it would be 50 mile an hour. So you'd want it to be handling kind of like around a steady 30 to 40, the occasional gusts up to 50. That's what it's got to be for a mounting 4-season tent in my book. So put in the comments below what you think are particular properties for a 4-season tent. Okay, it's taken me a while to get warm, really, so I'm glad for this sleeping bag where I can sit in it still and have my arms out. Yeah, so nothing fancy for tea tonight. Adventure food, minced beef and some Idahoan mash. So what I'm thinking of putting as the title for this video is this tent the unicorn tent? So unicorn is a mythical creature. What that means to me is there such a thing as a capable 4-season tent for 2 persons that's also really light? And that would be the unicorn, the mythical creature. And this tent weighs 1.7 kilos, perhaps a little bit more with the footprint. I'm still making my mind up about this tent, but it could be the unicorn. So we hope you've had some good stuff for Christmas. My son got me the Frizzo snap fold bowl and set, so that's not popping too well together in these really low temperatures. I think it's because the clips are a bit stiff, but I can have my food in there, and that's something kind of like very lightweight that packs flat. I'm not sure if I'd trust it with hot drinks because there's a cup as well. Yeah, but that's going to be good to at least have my pudding in. That was pretty quick. This extreme gas is the way to go, and I'm using the serotonin little table to get the gas off the frozen ground as well. You know the old adage, no matter how much you shake it, there's always one drop that goes down your leg. Well, people will understand with these meals, no matter how much you stir it, there's always a bit of a dry, dusty bit in the bottom. Pretty good this though. It's like a really sloppy potato cottage pie with bits of dog kibble in. I like it. This is dedicated to the person that commented recently that they saw nothing valuable or interesting or informative about campers that cook and eat and show it in their tent. And I said, well, it's a staple part of surviving in the outdoors, so this section's specially for you. And I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's the season of suicide or what, and I wish you all well, but I've had a lot of mean-spirited comments cropping up. You know, a massive amount of positivity and some great support, lots of lovely people coming on, being polite and asking questions, but quite a few edgy ones. And I think it's something to do with when you get up to a certain amount of subscribers, so you've just got to get a tougher skin and give these people a little bit of love, because I kind of feel sorry for them, to be honest. I think they're probably going through some sad times, which we can all get from time to time. If you're one of those sad people that wants to put mean comments on people's videos that's not constructive, have a little think and do something positive instead. Get outside and get some fresh air, and maybe even go camping, and it'll lift you. Get off YouTube. So I've got the sticky toffee pudding in there warming up, and I'm going to put the custard in this now. I didn't need the mash, I'll put that back, so I'll have the custard with the residues of mash here. And it was a bit of a battle coming out tonight, because, you know, we had, as many of you would have, a bit of a social night last night. We had a party at home, and I made a big chilli. It was really good. Loads of friends over, and I could have been basking tonight in the kind of satisfaction of having had a successful party, and my wife and I did a great job of looking after everybody. Oh yeah, and I wanted to say hi to a couple of friends that were there. In particular, hi Harriet, hi David, Lydia, Edward and Fell, all lovely people. And a couple of friends came, Mike and Karen as well. And we were talking about a story about a couple of years ago. We were walking in the Lake District, and Mike and Karen were watching me doing a little bit of videoing on a water container, and they were sort of like, well, why are you doing that? You know, why are you recording yourself looking at a water bottle container, where are you going to put it? They just didn't get it and thought I was a bit of a KNOB in a nice way. And then we stopped in this pub at Stonethwaite, and this couple came past with big backpacks on, obviously being wild camping up in the hills, and they stopped dead in the tracks right next to this little pub beer garden where we were sat. And this guy leaned over the wall to where I was sat with my friends and family on this pub beer garden, and he was like, "Fellmandave, mate, I've learnt a lot from you, great to meet you." And I was really happy about that, and it was lovely that this guy had made the effort to do that. But it was my friends who were the skeptics. They were just kind of like, wow, you know, that person's just come up and spoken to you, and then they saw, you know, perhaps the value of it, the value of the community, and the shared knowledge. So yeah, we were having a laugh about that last night, mostly taking the P out of the Fellmandave persona, which I kind of like enjoyed tremendously, to be honest. My daughters in particular find it really amusing if somebody recognises me and gives us some mileage to give the dad a hard time, which I don't mind. I find it pretty funny as well. I love this part. Oh yeah, it's definitely been enough space for cooking in here. It's a long and slightly narrow vestibule. Of course there's one each side, but it reaches right to the end each side, so you know, plenty enough. You could definitely fit a backpack up there if you needed to, your boots in a bag, and have a cooking area, admin area in the middle here, and your compatriot would have the same the other side. Or if you're solo or even together, you could have a wet side, that side. But as you can see, I've managed to just kind of spread things out a little bit. all good. This Ultra TNT is definitely a very quiet material. Generally, you know, it doesn't flap in sort of like sections or drum at all. The only bit where it's noisy is if you have a loose piece, and then it's kind of like quite crumply. Otherwise, in this breeze, about 15 to 20 miles an hour at the moment, you know, it's very still. I'll talk to you a minute about the material properties and what particular tent manufacturer has been saying to me. We'll see what you think. This gas has really got some ice on it now through the latent heat of vaporization, so to keep this effective, I'll put it in the little foot pocket of my sleeping bag here, and that will help to keep it warm overnight, so it's really can work in the morning. Look at that, next to these vents I've just discovered more storage there. Tent fishers got in there somehow as well, and since there's a breeze coming through, that can be a cooling area for my Baileys. A level 5. So this tent has been sent to me by TARPTENT for trial only. I can't keep it, so there's no stipulations. They've just said, yeah, sure, give it a go, and you know, they're just leaving me free for an indefinite period to use it as I wish, really. So before I send it back, I definitely want to do at least one more camp in it, and I want to do a kind of pitch where I can talk to you about the details, concentrate on that. And I've got a friend who's got a Hilleberg Una as well, and that's got a similar 2-pole structure, so it would be nice if we could get them side by side and compare them, because there's got to be some parallels. The Una's kind of like 4-season, and you know, it would be good to see maybe using a force gauge, how much force they'll take on a side panel before they start to distort. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that, and I'll ask my friend if he's up for it. Like all well thought out tents, there's lots of things to discover. Details like the inner was billowing in a little bit, and then I remember somebody else talking about this way of attaching to the inner to the outer. That helps to really raise that up and reduces any billing of the inner. So yeah, that's significantly increased the interior space. So tent materials. So this tent manufacturer I was talking to is a big fan of sil nylon, and one of the disadvantages of sil nylon is the fact that it stretches when it's wet, but that elasticity, particularly its ability for the yarn to move a little bit, is also a benefit, he felt, when it comes to stormy worthiness and tents. So something that has some elasticity and some give to it is less likely to fail than something that's very stiff. So there's pros and cons to both sides. So this Ultra TNT is stiff, hasn't really got any stretch to it, but that also makes it a very kind of like stable structure. Pros and cons to both sides of the material, really. The colour of this, you know, it blends in really well today in this kind of snowy environment, but it, you know, it is a little bit bed sheet, to be honest. What a bit of fine snow. Yeah, that wind chill, -7, that's enough. You don't want your hands exposed. So before I go to bed, I'm sure we've all been watching a bit too much YouTube over Christmas, but there's some gold channels kind of like emerging, and I just wanted to give a shout out to one or two that I've been watching that I hope you might enjoy. I'll put the links below. One is Headley Thorne. He lives down south. He's just gotten going on YouTube, but have a look at his channel. He's a guy with just a really tongue-in-cheek sense of humour, just bubbling below the surface all the time. You have to watch a few of his videos to kind of like get him, but once you've got him, it's just kind of fun, and a lovely guy. And who else have I been enjoying? Joe Explore, who's got a great style. Robology as well, some of his that I like. So yeah, have a look.
Good morning. These sleeping bags for winter are awesome. Honestly, I couldn't recommend this one highly enough. I'm not saying that because it was given to me, it's just brilliant. Being able to get your arms out like this. And this hood, oh, just absolutely great. Well, the tent, talk more in a bit about good points and bad points so far. Not much condensation, sleeping bags are dry, tent walls are dry. A little bit of frozen condensation at the foot end there. That's it. Nice morning. So, starting good point is the tent is stable, and noise-wise, you don't get those little noises from sill nylon. But with bigger breezes, you get a bigger, like plasticky, flappy noise, like that. So if you have this vent open, it does tend to flap and bang quite a lot. So that was quite noisy in the night.
Well, it's an absolutely beautiful morning, as you've seen. I've really enjoyed the space in here to get ready. Compared to the Scarp one for winter camping, this is great having this amount. Scarp one's a brilliant winter tent, but I have enjoyed the space. The nut I've got to crack with this tent is the pitching and winds. I struggled last night. Everything else has been excellent. There's going to be some other pros and cons, and I'll do that in further pictures, but for now, this first night, it's been great. It's done its job. It's kept me safe and warm and confident in winter, and that's firstly all you can ask of a 4-season tent. Now, I've got to get this down now. As you've seen, it's cold. It's -10 in the wind chill. These gloves are great, but my fingertips are still getting cold. Might need to go into mitten mode. And on the way down, I'll talk about the kit and what's worked and what hasn't. And yeah, I've got to get to work, I'm afraid, this morning. I've had a bit of a problem here as I've been sliding the pole out. I wondered why it wouldn't come out. And the very end cap has actually pulled off and got stuck at the end here, so that's elastic stretched all the way through there, and that's kind of like jammed in the end there. Oh, that's it, it's released now. So when I'm releasing that, I need to be very careful that I've pushed that out of there so that doesn't release and get stuck inside. Hopefully that'll just pin me down now. So that had pulled off in the corner and was stuck all the way through. But to be honest, I've had the same problem with the QU Storm Star. Them getting stuck in the corner. I tend to find the threaded ones are much better. Signs of a few settlements here on the periphery of the fort. Every time I come off this hill, I come off a different way. You have to keep your eye out for little markers. Signs where there were settlements and waypoints on the way to the fort. They really help. Right, good. Now I'm down out of that wind. I wanted just to reflect on what's went well and what's not gone so well. Firstly, don't do what I did, and that's just throw the tent up indoors and then go on a winter camp in the wind and cold conditions. Really, you want to kind of like build up your familiarity with your equipment before using it in those conditions. So hands up, my mistake, but you know, I'm very experienced in putting tents up in foul conditions, so I wasn't too worried. I just had a little bit of a struggle with the poles and the pole sleeves, but that's down to me and not the tent. And the ultra material for the pole sleeves is a lot thicker and tougher than the fabric on the main tent body, and I'm assured that that softens over time and that'll make all that easier. So a little bit more practice on my part. So it's not as easy as the likes of the Vern 1 at all in terms of pole pitching, but every tent has its compromises, and this tent, for the space, stability and weight, crucially, at well under 2 kilos all up, about 1.75 I think with the footprint, offers a lot of space and stability. So that pole design is good and well used, but part of the compromise, and it's going to take a little bit of practice in mission critical wind, shall we say. So the other thing that's gone well is I've had a good winter camp. It's been a while. I was hoping it might snow a bit more. There was just a little bit of a spray, but it's great to be out in those conditions again. The other thing that's gone well is this Fern clothing, and I genuinely mean that, not just because Fern sent it to me. This Arctis 2 jacket has definitely punched above its weight and price. I wanted something that was a lot more discreet for on the hill instead of bright orange, because this is England after all, and even though nobody could see me up there, we still want to be discreet. So yeah, I'll put a link below to the Fern Arctis jacket and the Octa little kind of mini jacket, and the merino top I've got on below. If you get them on Sports Pursuit, they're an absolutely bargain and highly recommended. These tend to size a little bit small. I would describe it as like a montane fit, if you've had any montane gear. You're never too old for a bit of ice breaking. So is the TARPTENT Arcdome the unicorn of 4-season tents? Can it do it all? So for the weight to benefits proportions, this is definitely growing a unicorn horn. So if you've made it this far, thanks very much for watching. Pop us a like, I would really appreciate it. Just takes a quick click, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the tent, and any other observations and improvements to my winter camping I'd appreciate, or even better, share what your experiences have been in your winter camping escapades and what particular kit works for you. More importantly, just how do you like the experience of it all? Okay, thanks for watching.